If you're preparing for competitive exams and you're thinking कि भाई मैं पढ़ के बार बार एक ही चीज को दिमाग में छाप लूंगा, तो what you're doing is very very inefficient. In fact, ये जो brute force method आप लगाने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, इससे होगा क्या कि at the end of your 3, 4, 5 revisions, your textbook will look like abstract art, क्योंकि 4 different color के highlighter पेन आपने यूज करे हैं, वहां पे 2 different color के पेन यूज करे हैं. You will have made notes which you'll never look at again. You will have read the same thing 10, 15, 20 times, and yet when it comes to the actual exam, when you want to use that information, you will come up blank. अगर आपके साथ ऐसा होता है, if you feel that this is a problem that you face, you've come to the right place. Because in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you the method that toppers actually use to study. Now, this is not because कि भाई वो ज़्यादा time पढ़ते हैं या क्या करते हैं. It is because the way that they study ensures that what they study stays in their head for longer, and they can use it much better than if you are just reading and rereading the same thing over and over again. Now, something interesting has happened by this point. 50% of the people who clicked on this video have already left. That simply means कि if you are still here, if you're watching this video 1 minute in, you are ahead of 50% of the competition. So congratulations on that, and let's get started with your journey to become a better student. The first thing that you need to understand is that time studied is not necessarily equal to knowledge gained. And this is a difficult concept for us to grasp at first, क्योंकि बचपन से हमें बताया गया है कि भाई 10 घंटे 12 घंटे पढ़ाई करो, बहुत पढ़ाई करो, मतलब समय ज्यादा लगाओ टेबल पे, अपने आप चीजें समझ आएंगी. बट दैट इज नॉट ऑलवेज द केस, क्योंकि इफ आई एम जस्ट क्रैमिंग मोर इन्फॉर्मेशन इनटू माय ब्रेन डजंट मीन दैट आई विल बी एबल टू यूज इट ऑन द डे ऑफ द एग्जाम. इनफैक्ट थिंक ऑफ इट दिस वे कि भाई अगर मैं बहुत सारा खाना एक साथ खा लेता हूँ एंड expect कि भाई ये अब ये जल्दी डाइजेस्ट हो जाएगा, तो that is not actually how it works. In fact, it works the exact opposite. If I eat too much food, I get bloated and I digest even slower than if I had eaten an appropriate amount. And the same thing works with your brain. In an age of information overload, जब हम अपने brain को बस so much information के साथ मतलब bombard कर देते हैं, क्योंकि this has become a common joke कि भाई लिख लेते हैं UPSC में ना आ जाए, and in such a case, our brain is just on the verge of giving up because it is just being bombarded with information. तो वो एक कान से सुनता है और दूसरे से निकाल देता है, and you end up feeling कि भाई इतनी मेहनत करी थी but कुछ आया नहीं. So the important bit to focus on over here is how efficiently you are studying. In fact, knowledge gain is equal to information consumed times efficiency. And let's understand this with an example. There is student 1 who studies for 10 hours in a day but with 20% efficiency. And then there is student 2 who studies for 4 hours in a day but with 50% efficiency. Practically, इन दोनों ने बराबर काम किया है. And that is what makes the difference. And it is not because कि भाई this person who was studying for 10 hours in a day is lazy or not smart or not putting in the effort. It is just because that the way that they are studying leads to a much lower efficiency. Now, the smart viewers of the Lord will have realized that there is a problem over here. It is much easier for me to measure number of hours that I have studied than to measure कि भाई कितनी efficiency से मैंने ये पढ़ाई करी. And that is what we end up doing a lot of the times. कि भाई since we cannot measure efficiency accurately, we end up measuring the thing that we can measure, which is number of hours studied. And that is not the best thing to do here. What you need to focus on is the efficiency of studies. So how do you do that? We'll talk about that in the next section. So if you've made it this far in the video, there is some good news and bad news for you. The good news is that you now understand a core principle that just consuming content is not equal to digesting it. And if you are not digesting information, then it is not going to stick around no matter what you do. Even if you just take this bit of information, this principle of gaining knowledge, you will do better than most people, provided you apply it. Which brings us to the bad news. The next part we'll deal with कि how do you apply these things in everyday life. And this is the hard part. This is what makes a lot of difference, but this is what actually you have to implement on a daily basis. But if you're ready to do that, let's go. Trick number 1 of becoming a more effective student is to be able to manage your time much better. And the way to do it is pretty simple. Every day, just list down the number of things that need to be done. Estimate a time कि भाई ये चीज कितने टाइम में होने वाली है, and then do it. Sounds very simple, but in practice it's very very hard because every day you have to wake up, spend 5 minutes कि भाई अच्छा आज क्या क्या चीजें करनी है. If there is something that is not fitting in your day कि भाई मेरे दिन में मैंने 8 घंटा 10 घंटा पढ़ाई करनी है, but the list of things that need to be done is taking 14 hours, तो then move it to some other day. This basic time management you need to do every day for 5 minutes first thing in the morning. The second thing that I want you to do is to block a time for the digestion of hard information. This is not just time for कि भाई यहाँ पे मैं ये से ये चैप्टर पढ़ रहा हूँ, but This is the time where I will be just sitting with the concept and trying to understand it from 5 different dimensions, trying to write answers, trying to apply it in different ways, solving PYQs. Because if you are not doing this digestion, and if you have not blocked a time in your calendar for that digestion, you will just be swamped with कि अच्छा 5 चैप्टर ये हो गए, उसके भी तो 5 करने थे, फिर उसके भी तो 6 करने थे. If you are preparing for competitive exams, आपके पास हर समय more things to do होंगी than to actually spend time understanding things. And this is where it's important to also give yourself constraints. कि ऐसा नहीं करना है कि भाई पॉलिटी के मैंने लक्ष्मीकांत लिया and I'm going to read it in 30 days. Try and estimate कि भी कितना समय मुझे इस किताब को करने में लगना चाहिए. Let's say for example you can read 5 pages or 10 pages in an hour. Lakshmikant is 800 pages. It should take you 80 hours. 80 hours अगर दिन में 10 घंटा पढ़ रहे हो, it will take you 8 days. Factor of safety ले लेते हैं. I should be able to complete Lakshmikant in 16-17 days. Now, give yourself that constraint कि इस टाइम में मुझे ये किताब करनी है, because there is a very simple thing called the Parkinson's law, which is that work expands to fill the time allocated to it. अगर मैं अपने आप को 30 दिन दूंगा लक्ष्मीकांत करने के लिए, I will take that entire 30 days and still feel like it was not enough. On the other hand, if I give myself this target of I have to do it in 17 days, I will take up that challenge and the brain will be much more focused because there is a task at hand that needs to be done. So time management is your first and most powerful tool to become a better student. The second trick is the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule is the core idea that बहुत सारी चीजें हैं करने के लिए, but there are only 20% of the things which drive 80% of your results. For any competitive exam preparation, the 2 things that are most important are frequently repeated topics, जो कि आपको previous year question से मिल जाएंगे. If you're talking about civil services exam, so these are things like कि भाई parliament का जो chapter है वो prelims and mains के लिए भी important होता है. Inflation का topic है, RBI के functions जो हैं, these are things that are very often repeated. Almost every year you get questions from them. So therefore, इन चीजों पे मुझे ज्यादा फोकस करना है rather than कि भाई मैं कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एंड नॉन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडीज में कौन अपॉइंट कर रहा है, कहां कर रहा है, जिस पे सवाल ही नहीं आ रहा है उसको करे जा रहा हूं. सेकंड थिंग इज फोकसिंग ऑन योर वीक एरियाज. You cannot be doing and redoing the areas that you're already strong in. That is not an efficient way to study. The way to become a better student is to focus on the areas that you are weak in. इनको ढूंढो कि भाई किस तरीके से I can remove that weakness. Take help of AI tools, take help of a tutor, a mentor. UPSC Essential का जो हमारा कोर्स है, that can be a very very helpful tool in this. But the idea is simple. जो weak areas है, those are the things that you need to attack, because once you start attacking them, you start developing a strong base, and from that strong base you gain a lot of confidence. Now we've talked about managing time, we've talked about focusing on the most important areas. Now we need to talk about how do you actually study. For this I'll show you something called the learning pyramid. Abhi learning pyramid mein you will see that there are layers, and layers mein there are 2 major chunks. The first chunk is passive learning methods. Passive learning methods are the methods that most of you are following to actually study, which is कि मैं लेक्चर देख रहा हूँ या मैं किताब पढ़ रहा हूँ या फिर कभी कभार मैंने कुछ डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन देख लिया कि भाई इस चीज को कैसे सॉल्व करना है. बट एक्टिव लर्निंग मेथड्स which are through group discussion, through solving previous year questions, which is practice by doing, and teaching it to somebody else, which is known as the Feynman technique. These are much more powerful. In fact, teaching others is 9 times as more powerful as just reading something by yourself. And this is what you have to understand. कि जब मैं कोई भी टॉपिक कर रहा हूँ, कोई भी टॉपिक मुझे नहीं समझ आ रहा है, I have to try and teach it to somebody else, because that will expose the gaps in my understanding faster than just reading and rereading it all over again. So you remember those student 1 and 2 that we talked about in the beginning of the video. Student 2 is always making an effort to use active learning methods, either by solving PYQs or by teaching things to others or by discussing them in a group. These methods are much more effective in order to ensure कि जो चीज आप पढ़ रहे हो वो आपके दिमाग में चिपके than if you're doing just passive learning methods, which is 99% of the people who are preparing for any competitive exam. The simple rule of thumb over here is the more active your method of learning, the better your retention will be and the less you'll have to repeat it in order to actually use it in the exam. Now, trick number 4 is batching. Batching is the simple idea that we club activities which are similar together, and this ensures efficiency. How? Think of it this way, कि I've started my day with 2 hours of essay practice, then I've switched to 2 hours of prelims preparation, then I've switched to 2 hours of GS answer writing, then I've switched to 2 hours of current affairs. I've spent 8 hours. But the problem with this is कि हर बार I've switched to an activity is very different from the activity that I was doing before. So whenever I switch to the new activity, the first 15, 20, 30 minutes at times, I'm just getting in the groove of the new activity. Instead, your day should have looked like first 2 hours of essay practice, then 2 hours of answer writing right together. Why? Because writing will have similar skill sets, similar brain processes that will be used. On the other hand, I am grouping prelims practice along with current affairs because वो साथ में ज़्यादा काम करेगा. In fact, if you're studying 5 to 6 subjects in a day, it is absolutely going to destroy your efficiency because you will be spending so much time switching context that it is not possible for you to study efficiently. So what should be done? Number one, limit the number of subjects that you're studying to maybe 3 or at most 4 subjects in a day, and even then club the similar subjects together so that you spend less time switching context and have greater efficiency in study. The final trick is to space out your study sessions. Now, it sounds like a great flex to say, I can study for 6 hours straight, but you are not being very efficient in those last couple of hours of those 6. 3 hours or 3 to 3.5 hours is the maximum that you should be studying. Why? Because 3 hours is usually the length of exams in India. And beyond that, we are very tired, mentally as well as physically. Giving yourself a half an hour to 1 hour break in between these study sessions can help you recharge and have better efficiency when you get back into it again. Work hard, but don't necessarily beat yourself up by working so hard just for the sake of flexing on somebody else. If you follow the video so far, you already have all the tools necessary to become a very dangerous student. So congratulations. You are now capable of being somebody who takes a very hard topic and is able to understand that with such clarity that you can explain it to anybody, anytime, anywhere. But there's one critical thing that still needs to change if you want to make these changes permanent. You need to rebuild and reframe your relationship with studying. If studying feels like a chore, a task that must be done, and it's not enjoyable, you're actually trying to get through studying so that you can get to the enjoyable bits, then it'll be difficult for you to study in the long term. You want to make studies enjoyable. And the way to do it is pretty simple. First, you need to start with an energy audit. We are all unique individuals. There are some subjects you like, some subjects you hate, and it's absolutely normal to feel that way. What you need to understand is which are those subjects for you, and for this we need to do an energy audit. All that I need you to do is for the next 1 week, start noting down whenever you are studying. Okay, I studied from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m, then from 12 to 2 and so on. जो भी चीज आप पढ़ रहे हो, time, topic, and at the end of it, a simple plus or minus. Plus, if at the end of the study session you felt recharged. Minus, if at the end of the study session you felt very, very drained and tired. The idea here is pretty simple. One, it will help you track the amount of time that you're studying so that you actually know how much you're studying rather than feeling like I studied so much and then didn't really do that. And the second, it will help you understand which activities energize you. For example, for me, writing essays was something that energized me quite a lot. I enjoyed the process of writing essays. However, writing GS answers was like मौत आ जाती थी कि भैया क्यों करना पड़ रहा है, कैसे है, क्या प्रॉब्लम है, मतलब why am I going through this entire process? I don't want you to judge कि भाई this activity should energize you or should not energize you or however that is. I just want you to be aware of which activity energizes you and which one drains you. Because once you are aware of which are these activities which energize you and drain you, I want you to eat the frog first thing in the morning. Now, what does that mean? There's a quote from Mark Twain which says that if it is your job to eat the frog, do it first thing in the morning. And if you have to eat 2 frogs, eat the bigger one first. Now, what did he mean when he said that? The idea is pretty simple, that if you have to ever eat a frog, it is a very unpleasant activity and you are not going to look forward to it, and it's just going to be something that is constantly going to be on your head. If you eat it first thing in the morning, you can then look forward to the rest of your day because you've already eaten the frog. On the other hand, if you delay eating the frog to the end of the day, you will spend the entire day dreading the fact that I have to eat a frog. So if you have to eat a frog, eat it first thing in the morning. Now, eating frogs first thing in the morning is obviously something that takes a lot of willpower when you get started. But over time, it becomes easier. And it really helps you enjoy your breaks with guilt-free playtime. क्योंकि बहुत बार ऐसा होता है that even when I am enjoying myself, even when I am taking a break, I'm still feeling guilty about the fact कि मैंने पढ़ाई नहीं करी है. And that is something that destroys your appreciation for the time that you spend studying. Which brings us to the final and most important aspect of dealing with distractions. If you want to study hard, if you want to become an efficient student, you have to learn to deal with distractions. You cannot wish कि भाई मेरी जिंदगी में कोई distraction ना हो, because life is like that. We get distracted all the time, be it by our phones, be it by the bell ringing, be it by anything and everything that wants us to take our attention away from the hard thing that we're doing. You cannot choose when you get distracted. but you can choose how long you stay distracted for. Meditation is a great tool which helps a lot with this, and it is something that I would highly recommend each and every one of you that is preparing for civil services exam or any competitive exam for that matter to take up. There's a great quote from Abraham Lincoln which says, "If I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend 4 hours sharpening my axe." Meditation is you sharpening your axe, which is your brain, for exams, because that is all mental activity. And at the same time, you also need to take care of your physical health. Studies have shown that 30 minutes of aerobic activity in a day improve both memory and long-term retention. So this is also a part of sharpening your axe in order to do well at exams, so that you can study well, you can get the grades that you want, you can clear the exams that you want, and you can make your parents proud. If you've made it this far in the video, there is one last thing that I want you to do. You have understood the process, you have understood the tricks, you have understood how to change your relationship with studying. All that remains now is to signal your intent to the world. Do that by dropping a comment that I am going to become an efficient student, and then all that remains for you is to get started. So let me know in the comments that you are doing what it takes to become an efficient student and then get to work. All the best.